My name is Kat King, and before we start, I'd like just to say that I know that the things that have happened to me have happened, but a part of me still doesn't believe it. It feels like I'm making it up, and, and I'm just now starting to put the pieces together. So when I was young, my earliest memories have always been of feeling different. And even my mom has said, you know, you're a bit different than us. And I'm not adopted. I know I'm not adopted. I look just like my whole family. But she used to say I hated taking you places because by the time you were 3 years old, if I left you for just a couple of minutes, someone was holding you and telling you their life story. And I just thought, you know, entertainment. I enjoyed the attention. And then by the time, I was a little monkey too, and by the time that I was 5, I used to climb up the streetlight pole and sit at the top of the streetlight pole, and I'd just sit out and look and just go, come home, come get me. You know, and I don't even know where that came from. It just was in my heart, and I would just like, please, come get me. I don't belong here. And, you know, so, okay, maybe kids think that. And then I was about 7, and my first real experience, which I thought was a ghost, was I remember waking up and I thought it was my sister that was standing next to me in bed. Well, I was in bed, she was standing next to me. And so I just told her, you know, go back to bed, quit bugging me. And so she walked across the room and out through a wall. And I remember sitting up all night and I was too scared to even scream. I just like, whoa, what was that? I had no idea. And then when I was in 4th grade, we went camping, and I'm one of those people that just, I see something, I take off and go for it. And so I remember we were out in the forest, and I guess my dad was putting up the tent, but I was a ways out. And I remember looking up through the trees and seeing the wind blow extra hard all of a sudden, and my next memory was a year later. I have 1 year that I don't remember anything, but I know that I was here, and my mom would have said I was missing. And so, you know, even today, and I'm obviously quite a few years older than that, I can remember the names of my teachers and all of my friends and everything except that 1 year. And something happened to me because when I got into 5th grade, all of a sudden I really didn't feel that I belonged anymore. And I'm outgoing again now, and I was when I was a kid, but for a while I got a little more introverted for a number of years and after that experience. So, you know, and I'm just looking back, putting pieces together. There's nothing really to say about that. And then I was 18 and I was with some friends out in the mountains again, and I took off by myself again, which that's normal for me. And I was walking, there were big trees all around me, and all of a sudden, this thing pops out from behind a tree, and it looked like a 10-foot tall ant, you know, and I'm just going, whoa. Now, I was scared on that one. That one I screamed, and I started running, and every time I ran somewhere, another one popped out. And anyway, I finally got back to the people that I was with. We were staying at a friend's cabin, and I didn't even talk about it at all to anybody. I just went in and sat in a corner and just said I needed to be quiet. I mean, I never said anything. And you know, that was a long time ago, and it wasn't until 6 months ago that I was talking to someone about this, because I haven't really talked about this to people. And she goes, well, have you ever seen a picture of a praying mantis? And I was going, no, it's an ant. And she goes, no, the aliens that are praying mantis. And so I saw a picture of them, and I'm going, that's them. So, I mean, ant, bug, you know, it's a bug. But anyway, it turns out that according to them, they're friendly. I don't remember anything other than being scared of scary-looking things popping out at me. But again, in my mind, I put it back to imagination. It didn't really happen. That kind of stuff. And I've always had an ability to know things. You know, I've always had this psychic side of me. And I've always been very interested in paranormal. So I've studied a great deal of that. And then I was in Israel in my early 30s, and I had gone with a group, and I took off again. And what it was is at the top is King David's tomb, and below, King David's tomb, and below that is a temple. And it's the walls are all rock, and they're carved out. And so I was just wandering around, and this rabbi walked up to me, and I was there during Rosh Hashanah. And I don't know Rosh Hashanah from, I know it's a high holy season, and I try to respect everybody's beliefs, but I don't know enough about their traditions to know that what I'm going to tell you is unusual. Okay. So anyway, this rabbi walks up to me, and this is where I'm going to cry. It was so incredible. I mean, the words that I'm going to say don't sound like much, but what happened to me was pretty incredible, because I still cry when I even think about it. But a rabbi walked up to me, and he asked me if he could light a candle for me. And I was going, well, what a nice thing to do for tourists. And so we go over to this cove, and the rock is carved out, and there's one big candle there. And out of his pocket, he pulls a smaller candle. And he just looked at me and lit the candle, the smaller candle from the big candle, and held it between us. And I can still feel like the fire. I know. Don't cry, because I'll cry worse. And he just looks so deep into my eyes, and he goes, "You are going to be instrumental in world peace." And I was going, what? I mean, I'm not political. At that point, I knew nothing about what he was talking about. I still really don't. And then, this is the part that gets me. He took the bottom of the candle, and he melted it. Thank you. It's just so beautiful. And put it into the rock. And he said, "As this candle burns, you'll be with us always." And it's not the words, it was that his eyes were piercing and looked so deep in my soul. And so synchronicity, at just about that time, just as we turned, my group found me. And I was on this group. My parents were with us. I mean, it was their group, and I just went along. And I don't have their belief system, but I wanted to go with a group of people, and I wanted to share this with my parents, to go to the Holy Land. And so they were asking me later, and again, it's almost like a gotcha, like it was all set up, because they kept asking me, why would you allow a rabbi, because they were, not of that faith, to light a candle for you? And I said, why wouldn't I? I mean, it was an honor. Well, the weird part is that later on, I met somebody from Israel that we were dating, and I made the mistake of, this is the way it was supposed to be, okay. So I told him what happened, and he told me that I was a liar, and that couldn't have happened. He said, number one, rabbis don't light candles for anybody. They don't light candles for non-Jews, if they were even going to light a candle for somebody. And he said they would never light a candle for somebody during Rosh Hashanah, which is a high holy season. So he said that could not have happened, and he was kind of pissed off about it too. I mean, he didn't say it that nicely. He was very offended. And so I again started doubting, did I dream this? Did this really happen? And so I went to my parents and I said, you were there at the end. Did this really happen? And she said, yes. My mom said, yes, that happened. And yes, we did ask you what he said, and we did ask you why you would do that.